Hi guys, welcome to another episode of our streaming safari here at Lion Habitat Ranch. As usual, I'd first like to thank anybody who's able to make any donations to us, who's come out to see us, or has helped us out on Amazon Smile. If you'd like to do any of that, all the links are right below. And thank you to anyone who voted for us for Best of Las Vegas. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about sound, hence why I'm wearing little bat ears. We're going to skip a little bit ahead to Halloween. So October starts next week, so we'll have some other cool Halloween-related stuff for you for Streaming Safari. And we'll also have our Boo at the Zoo, which starts on October 29th and runs through Halloween the 31st. And if you come out on those days, you'll see some cool lion enrichment. Our lions are going to be getting some pumpkins, maybe even a whole haunted house.
They're getting a haunted castle.
Haunted Castle. You'll definitely want to come out to see Haunted Castle or join us. It'll probably be on Facebook.
Yeah, I will post it.
So today I have two experiments for you. One I'm going to show you the setup of, and the other one we'll do together. The first one is going to be how to make a tonal drum. So what we're talking about is how things vibrate. So we have different animals that use sound vibrations to communicate or to see things in their environment, especially if they're animals that do things at night or do things underground. Do we know some animals that use echolocation, Denise?
We do dolphins, bats.
Bats? Anything else?
I'm sure there is.
There are a couple other ones, like birds that hunt at night, as well as shrews. And potentially hedgehogs, but I'm not sure about that one. They're still investigating that. But shrews do too, because they burrow down, and so it helps them to catch little things in the dark. And so all of those animals are relying on something we've discussed before in Streaming Safari, which is things happen in waves. Our favorite word is Streaming Safari, waves. No, Denise is shaking her head at me. So sound, actually, you can see on this drum that I've made here, if I have it sitting. Let's do this one. It's a little bit. So if Denise puts the camera up on the top, when I hit the drum, it makes a noise, and the vibration shakes around the sugar that I have on top of the drum.
And Alex, how did you make your drum?
That's what we're going to go over right now. So there's going to be a couple different ways to do this. You'll want something that's kind of a thick plastic. If you can get a large PVC pipe, even a little bit smaller than this, it'll work best because it won't absorb the vibrations. You want all of the vibration going onto whatever tight thing you have on the top. So what you're going to want to do is take your PVC pipe, or right here I have some flower pots, and you can have the solid base on it, but you want to make sure it has no holes. So I covered up the holes that are in this with tape. So there used to be a hole right here, and I covered it up with tape so it was nice and sealed. Then what you want to do is I used a plastic trash bag. I recommend using something a little bit thicker than that. They make some stretchy black material. I don't even know what it's used for, but it can go over. It's kind of like a cling wrap. And then since you're going to be using something like salt or sugar or something that's going to be white, you'll probably want a base that's a darker color. So that's why I use the trash bags on it. And you're going to make a drum, and you want the drum to be as tight as possible. So you can actually see this drum isn't quite as tight as this one is. If I actually push this one down, it actually kind of made a better drum. It was working a little better earlier. So that one I actually get a good thump out of. And you want to make sure it's nice and tight. So you're going to take, as I said, cover up any holes that are in it. Take the trash bag or whatever you're using to make your drum part. You're going to pull it really, really tight, and then you're going to tape it around the edges. You want no holes because you want any air to escape. Okay? And then in the side of your drum, this one already had the holes at the bottom, so I used one of those holes. Or you can cut a hole out in the side. And then you're going to want to make yourself something to be able to make noise into the drum. Now, if you have a bigger drum like I have, you're going to have to use a lot more air. So if you get a little bit of a smaller drum, it's going to work a little bit better because you're not going to have to put as much air to create the vibration. So what you'll do with your drum then, after you make your little tube to make the sound into, you can use like construction paper. I've used a little roll from the end of some toilet paper to make this. And then you'll want to make different sounds into your drum.
Your sugar's moving. No patterns, but it's moving.
And you want to see how your sugar moves around and see if it makes any patterns, because different tones that you make should make different patterns depending on how tight your drum is. If your drum's really, really tight, you'll see the sugar moving in different places. But it's only going to move into those spots while you're making the noise. So you actually have to have somebody else record it for you, or you can take turns with someone else to look at your patterns that you're making in your sugar.
Team building.
And what that shows us is that if we make different tones, we actually get different results because different vibrations occur, those different waves occur, right? Different amplitudes. We've talked about those in Stream Safari before, so you should shake your head again. So each different tone, just like musical notes, is going to give you a different vibration, which is how those tones are made. So how are animals going to be able to actually use that to interact with the environment? There's a really cool, really easy experiment we can do to see that with some rubber bands.
You guys are welcome to look.
A bucket, and something like a towel, or you can get some other stuff to put inside the bucket too. So what we want to do first is just test this on our fingers. So you'll just hold the rubber band in your fingers and you're just going to pull it. And if you're really close to the rubber band, you can hear the snapping sound and the vibration that it makes. And then it keeps making a little bit of a vibration that you can feel against your finger, okay? Now, sound waves are going to react differently with different things. So if I have something hollow, like this bucket, I can put the rubber bands around the bucket. So I just have put a bunch of different rubber bands, put as many or as few as you want. And then I want you to see what sounds they make. And they're actually going to make different sounds depending on where I position them. So it's kind of going to sound like a homemade guitar.
That sounds very flat. That sounds more sharp, yeah.
And you can make little songs if you want. So the vibrations are able to go into the bucket and echo around, right, to help create more of a noise and a different noise. And so if there's a hollow space, the sound's going to continue traveling until it hits here, the inside of the bucket. And then it's going to make a sound back that we can hear. Now, if that sound wave encounters something else that's much better at absorbing sound, the sound's going to get less. So the sound that returns to us is going to be much, much less. So, for example, something really absorbent is something clothy, like this towel that I have here. So I'm going to stick the towel inside of the bucket, and I'm going to spread it around all over the bottom, and we're going to see how different the sound is. So that's still a little bit, it's still pretty good, but now if I move it, that one went real much more quiet than it was before. But this side that doesn't have the towel in it, you can still hear much better. And what's going to happen is your bats are going to encounter things in their environment, like a tree or something, that's going to absorb and reflect sound differently. So if there's something in the way, it's going to sound different than if there's nothing in the way. So you can try this with a lot of different things. So you can put like solid objects in here and just pile this with stuff and just see the different sounds that you get. Obviously this solid tape is really taking away my noise. So I'm going to know where things are located depending on the sound that I get in return, just like a bat. And we have all these different animals that can do echolocation by basically they're just making the sound, they're registering how the sound returns to see if something's blocking them. The coolest thing is that you can learn how to echolocate. So it's actually been something that's really cool, really new with people who are blind. they can actually be taught how to echolocate. And if you practice with your eyes closed or blindfolded, clicking your tongue, you can actually learn how to walk around things when you hear how the sound returns back to you. So it's pretty cool because we only think that animals like dolphins or bats can do this, but we can learn how to do it too. And it's all using the same kind of effect. So that's what I've got for you today, guys. If you try these out, of course, please let us know. I love when you guys try our experiments, so please do so. We would love that. And come out and see us for Boo at the Zoo. And we will see you again next week.